What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to more Black Desert. So we got some interesting news today, and as you guys know, the new season is starting next week, February 28th. They made an official post about it, and I get this question a lot of like when the season is starting, when the season is ending, and things you should do as a newer player, or you're something like it's your first time returning players. So I wanted to give a few tips on what you should do before then and during the season. So people often ask me, is it worth playing BDO like in between seasons? And generally, yeah. So what I wanted to talk about was what you could do like today to prepare for the season coming out next week, and things that'll just help you speed up through your time there, and things you should do on seasons, just like how to progress and how to transition into like once you get out of seasons into seasons and all that stuff. So with that said, in no particular order, things you could do to prepare early on is get yourself a nice set of crystals. And I actually had some beginner ones that I made a video of. So on seasons you can use crystals, and with the preset I believe that you could get it now. So whether you're a new player or a returning player, I want to show you some crystals setups that I have personally. So yeah, we're gonna build a set together right now. So this is more for like PvE and then all the stuff that I use endgame, but we're gonna build something right now, and I'm gonna choose some budget option crystals for all of you guys so that you guys can help or like get through seasons a lot faster. So for the sake of a new player and beginner one, we're not going to be using the Garmoth Heart crystals, and I think that's fine because they're hard to get even for veteran players, because it's RNG or yeah, it's basically RNG. So anyway, things you could get off the market right now and that won't break your silver bank. So number one, let's say your goal is to just gear up, grind new spots, and here are the things I would pick. So first of all, precision crystals are very cheap to get, and you can buy them off the market. I would recommend getting 2 of them. Just straight off the bat, whether you're doing PvE or PvP, just having extra accuracy. These are the beginner versions, and the endgame versions will be the equivalent of Elcars, which are the more accuracy, but those are also a little bit more expensive. So I do believe, like, since they're 40 mil now, it's like it's not even that bad. They used to be a lot more, but yeah, now that the whole crystal preset thing is a thing, prices went up and down for a lot of different things. So either way, these are entry level crystals. I don't think 40 mil is a lot, so eventually your goal would be to upgrade into Elcars, but that's okay for now. Whom crystals are another easy to get one. Sometimes I ask myself whether it's worth getting the regular Whooms or like the Han Whooms, and I do think that the Han Whooms are something that you should prioritize because they're like 30 mil and they're not that bad anymore. Before they used to be hundreds, and that was kind of wild, but nowadays they're pretty affordable. And I even think new players can get like hundreds of million pretty easily these days. So for the sake of like upgrades and easy stuff, I would recommend getting between 2 to 4 Whooms into here. We'll just use these as a baseline. Just get the upgraded Han ones when you can. And then like 2 to 4, that's fine. These are pretty cheap nowadays. I do believe that you should note that these are more like glass cannon crystals, but I do believe they are pretty worth it. They're cheap as well, so they'll allow you to grind faster, more damage, and that's as well. These are still expensive, so these are things that you would use as well if you had like the Garmoth slots, but then these are also kind of expensive, so I don't really want to add it. Other crystals I would recommend adding are the Special Evasion Infinity Crystal, or Special Evasion Magic Crystal of Infinity. So 2 of these are generally pretty cheap to get, And for all classes, special evasion is the way to go. Eventually, your goal would be to go Jin ones because they give the extra HP, but special evasion is pretty good. And so we have 4 extra slots here, or if you're running 4 Hooms, then you have 2 extra slots. So then you would want to go into the Viper route because accuracy is very important, whether you're a beginner or not. Accuracy will help you grind faster at lower levels when you're just like hitting like higher end mobs and just like purple. So they'll allow you to clear faster. And then, of course, for PvP. So alternatively, since these are expensive, you could just go to Dark Red Fang Valor ones, and they're less expensive and just give AP as well. So let's just say you had 2 of these, and then you could either be done right now if you had 4 Hooms, or if you decide to go to 2 Hoom route. Other things you can go for are like literally anything else you need. But yeah, I would recommend beginners to just go 4 Hooms because it is generally cheaper. So yeah. This is what I would do for crystals early on, assuming you didn't have Garmoths and all the other stuff. So entry level crystals, here you go. And then assuming you do get a Garmoth one day and or extra crystals for your costume in the middle, what I would do is you can only pick one of 2, which is crit hit or movement speed. Generally for grinding, I think crit hit would be a little bit more important, but it really just depends on what kind of crystal setup you have. So movement speed, either one, they're both good options. And then eventually when you get the Garmoth slots or something, or you just have more silver in general, you could replace various things like the Hooms for these kind of crystals. But anyway, for the sake of beginner crystals, this is what I would do. And you could just add 2 more Hooms if you want. It's not a big deal. So with that said, those are the early crystals. And another few things I want to talk to you guys about while we're on the sake of things to do while you're on seasons or earlier, and that is start doing your adventure journals. These are kind of tedious, I'm not gonna lie, but they do give permanent stats, and that way when you're on your season character, like just starting out day 1, these bonuses apply to your account, so every character you make and just everything in general. So being able to do like most of these, there's a guide somewhere, you can just figure it out, but overall you want to get as much of an advantage as you can early on. So getting the extra AP, DP, HP, and all just like everything else, free stats on your account is always good. So the Bartali one is pretty important to do early on, the Deeves Encyclopedia, and the one that gives the Agris Fever. I don't actually remember which one is that. Was it this one? Yeah, it's this one. So being able to grind and have a higher drop rate in general, if you look over here. So when you first start, you get 20,000 points, right? And that's the hard cap. And then as you keep doing journals, you get more. So your total would be up to 100,000. And when you're maxed out, your trash loot will be up to 150% early on when that's on. So you're basically getting more silver when you use it, which is pretty nice. So yeah, I'd recommend doing your journals as soon as possible. So if you're wondering, should I play now? Yeah, you might want to start doing these as soon as possible to get the head start from actual newer players. And I think this is what it looks like for now in terms of stats. I'm probably missing a few things, but it's very minimal. I got the relevant ones, which is the sheet AP and DP. So yeah, another thing that people usually don't understand, and it's not really intuitive. So as you play through the seasons, you get like a thing over here at the top that'll be like the progression pass or something. And by completing that, you'll start learning how to upgrade Naru, Tuvala, and then eventually boss gear. So over time, by upgrading your gear, you start to get Failstacks, right? And so people just kind of just wildly swing on Tuvala gear with like questionable stacks. And so I do have a video on how I go about enhancing Tuvala gear, which is basically the seasonal gear that you convert at the end of the season. And so what I wanted to do or talk about was how do you go about managing all your fail stacks? So like a lot of these are just stuff I've been saving over time. You get a lot of 30s, 40s, and then 50 stacks, and then a lot of these are extra just bonuses. So I would recommend looking up a chart or something, or I even have some videos that you can watch on how I go about enhancing. Don't just enhance stuff randomly just because higher number doesn't always mean better. So save your stacks until you need it and use optimal ones, and overall that'll transition into postseason when you're starting to upgrade your real gear and you don't run out of the higher fail stacks. So basically use them smartly, and don't overstack too much if possible. And I know that could be tilting because when you're failing like 50-50s over and over and you're just like, why? So I know rage enhancing, tilt enhancing is definitely a thing. I've done it myself, but if you can, for the most part, save your stacks until you really need it. Don't use the higher ones for like seasonal gear. You'll be okay. So another thing to do early on is start doing your Jetina quest. So basically, this NPC is in every town, right? And it'll allow you to start working on your guaranteed pen, armors, and weapons. And I think by the time you get through with season, you'll have at least one of these done. So if you don't know how to go about doing it, there's a button up here called the progression pass, right? And so there's a tab over here that says guaranteed pen. And it'll basically teach you how to go about doing all of this and like what materials you need. I personally haven't finished them because by the time this came out, I was already full pen in terms of weapons and armors anyway. So I didn't really have a need to, but for the most part, I think for newer players, doing this progression pass in general is very good because the rewards it gives you are pretty nice. Like it just gives you a lot of silver and just materials I think you'll need, so just free money in general. So just doing all of this is a lot of free money, and it's a good way to learn how the game works in general. And whether you need all of these or not, you can just sell them. I'd recommend holding a lot of other things until you feel like you need it. So yeah, saving fail stacks, saving the timepiece. If you don't know what the timepiece is, it's the seasonal thing. It allows you to basically copy your character's full stats over to another one. So let's say, so I guess let's use a relevant example. When the season started, the previous one, the Wusa was the like main character that everyone started with on season. And then eventually the Megu came out, and people used their timepiece, which is a quest reward during season, to basically copy over your character. Now, what I wanted to mention with that is the way it works is, let's say you have full seasonal gear, or I don't know, whatever. Yeah, let's say you have seasonal gear and you want to copy your gear over to another character. It will transfer your character 1, the one you made during the season, to character 2. However, character 2 will be the new season 1, whereas 1 will just be converted into a non-season. Does it really matter? No, not really. It doesn't like delete anything. So at the end of seasons, you should always have like 2 characters, and I would recommend saving that timepiece until you are done with seasons, and then get it to the highest level, skill points and all the stuff you're available with. So make sure to copy it to the best of your ability at the end, and don't just use it whenever you get it. So it's like an actual 1-to-1 copy. You don't get double the gear, but your like level, XP, skill points, and all the not contribution, but yeah, just like level, skill points get transferred over. So make sure to do that whenever you can. Other things that I think will be good to start with early on, whether you're playing like a day or two before season and stuff, is your workers. So as you guys know, building a node empire is very confusing, and like even myself, when I first started, I had no idea what was going on. I do have some videos of that, but for the sake of new player friendly, start getting your nodes set up. And you see how there are lines over here. that means they're connected. You start from any town, and then you connect them to other towns, and then you put workers on the nodes, and then you get passive income and passive materials. So like all these materials that I have, they just go directly into your storage, and it's like free money or materials. So getting that set up early on is very important. Don't worry about like making mistakes. You can always just like transfer workers from point A to B at any time nowadays. It's really easy. So definitely, to make sure you're not super confused as a very new player, start doing that early on. And I know obviously your contribution points won't be as high if you're a new player, but anyway, there's a lot of good stuff early on, and I have a video of it, so if you feel like watching it, cool. If not, and you want to figure it out yourself, also cool. So we talked about Failstacks, saving the Timepiece, doing the Magnus and Jetinas. Oh yeah, speaking of the Magnus, when you go to a well, there'll be like, or I think at first you talk to the Black Spirit, they'll tell you about all this stuff. Then you go to a well, you jump down to well, then the quest line starts, go from there. And then at the end of that, you should get a guaranteed pen piece. I believe this is what the reward for finishing is. Completion, you get a free pen armor of your choice, and then use that whenever you feel like you need it, depending on what you're going to do. And another thing that I see a lot of people not do is use your energy for silver. So as you guys know, energy is like your tool for like gathering, farming, and just a lot of other things. So if you ever find yourself at max energy and have no idea what to do with, there's an NPC in Velia, Aliston, I believe he's right here, and he changes your energy, like various different amounts, into energy potions, and then you could sell them to the market. So one of these 4 items, and then you could just straight up sell it for silver. So the idea is never to stay capped out at energy for too long. I think overall, if you're trying to maximize the amount of money you make with silver, or silver you make with energy, gathering is always the best way. But if you are just like, you're busy, just turn it into energy potions, that is, and then sell them or use them. It doesn't matter. But anyway, so that's that. And learning how to set buffs and everything for PvE, PvP is very important, because I see a lot of new players, they're like struggling at grind spots, but then when you look at their buff bar, they basically don't have anything going. So these work on seasons as well. Things I would recommend are getting these cron meals, and the simple cron meal, I think this is what it's called, it's cut off at the top, is something that I would recommend everyone getting. They're pretty cheap, and it'll allow you to grind better. So if you look at the effects, it's basically a bunch of PvE stuff, so you'll be good. As for that, and potions on seasonals, I don't think you really need them until you get into higher end areas, but they give you a lot of stuff in general as a seasoned character, so you might be overwhelmed by just the amount of rewards they give you, but overall I think you'll be fine. If you've ever played any other RPG game, it's pretty self-explanatory. Use potion, use food, grind stuff, get gear, do it again, higher end spots. And yeah, so there are a few things that you could do as well, whether you're a newer player or not, is going about doing the story quest line. And if it's your first time, I believe it is mandatory. And then if it's your like second and so on, you have the option as a seasonal character to completely skip the story that you've done before. So if it's your new character, I would recommend just doing it, because the story, like, it's gotten better. It's not my favorite, but like overall it's tolerable, and I'd recommend doing it at least once, because over time, like if you have never done all these quests before, they do give you some nice rewards, and as a newer player, these are something that you should probably do at some point. And yeah, so definitely worth doing at least once. So yeah, that's about it. Those are some tips I wanted to give you because the new season is starting on the 28th. And I know a lot of people have had a lot of questions. I'll probably make another video in the future just to make sure like this video isn't too long. I know it's 20 minutes and so far. But with that said, I'll probably be playing the new season as well. So if you want to watch me go through it as well, stick around on the channel and I'll definitely be playing something. I'm not sure what character I want to play actually. So yeah, for next season, I think I might actually choose between warrior, assassin, or I don't know actually. Warrior. Yeah, I don't know. We'll think about it. But it's probably warrior or assassin because those are pretty fun classes and I wanted to try them out again. So, yeah. With that said, if you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to leave it in the comments below or join the Discord. And I'm usually active there, so you can ask me things as well. But if you're new to the channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button. I would love to see you guys come back. Thanks so much for watching, and stick around for more videos daily. So have a fantastic day. I'm out. Peace.